stood the test of time for 34 years, and a bigger and bigger proportion of the national income went to workers in their wage bracket every year right the way through. It's been going in the opposite direction ever since. But I think it's not about a return to Keynesianism, in my opinion. It's about democratising the economy is where we need to go. And that's why I think the solution to the Extinction Rebellion challenge, the solution to the challenge of poverty, austerity and cuts is democracy. More democracy. And it was Tony Benn who once said that we need to democratise our party in order to democratise society. And whilst, yes, it's a bit of naval contemplation looking at the democratic structures inside the Labour Party, in order to make the Labour Party fit for purpose, we have to make it more democratic. We have to put members in the driving seat. Members in the driving seat in terms of deciding who is going to be our representative at general elections. I mean, local council, yes. Go through that. In every other democracy in the world, as far as I'm aware, and I'll stand corrected, but as far as I'm aware, every other democracy in the world, any elected official is subject to an endorsement process before they can stand for another term. Even the President of the United States of America has to go through a primary to determine whether they want to have them stand again as the President. But somehow Labour MPs are supposed to be on some sort of different plane. Why? That's not democratic, and I do not subscribe to the argument that it's up to the leaders, if you like, members of Parliament, Labour members of Parliament, to speak hard truths to party membership. I actually see it as the other way around. Because far too many MPs, in my experience, hopefully I'm not in that category, shoot me if I ever do get into that category, are in this bubble. They're out of touch and away with the fairies. You know, in this Westminster kind of mentality, in that awful place, that awful club. It's like a public school. That's why the public school boys, ex-public school boys and girls like Cameron and company, you know, take so well to the dispatch box and so on. And it's a vile place. Venerates our Britain's imperialist past. And I just think that we, you know, if we had a more democratic approach to determining who our candidates were, we would have much, much better governance. We'd have people who were in touch with the people that they seek to represent, because it's the members who are in touch with reality much more than MPs, because it's members that are in the constituency 24/7. Inevitably, as an MP, you're down in Westminster in that god-awful place for most of the week, whereas party members are mixing with the community, working and living and socialising and shopping in the local area and picking up. So I just think that kind of relationship, that partnership between members and grassroots members and MPs, can only be good for democracy. So I think we need to do that. But we also need to democratise the way we make policy in the party. And it was Ed Miliband who said if we'd listened to our members a bit more when we were in government from 1997 to 2010, we wouldn't have made as many mistakes. Just imagine it. No war in Iraq, no privatisation, no tuition fees, no cutting benefits for the poorest people in society, which is what we did. Let's remember that. No private health care in the National Health Service. We did that. A Labour government did that. What were we doing? I mean, if we'd have listened to members, it wouldn't have happened. So I say, put the members at the forefront. That will then help us, I think, to make us much more in touch with the people we seek to represent. And it will help us to address these major challenges which we are now confronted with. There is an absolute existential crisis facing humanity. And it's only socialism and democracy that's going to get us out of it. That's why I think we should embrace it. So it's about, yes, democratising our party in order to democratise our economy. And I think we absolutely have to do that. Because we've got political democracy, but you know, Keir Hardie said over 100 years ago, political democracy, we've got political democracy now. Our next challenge is industrial democracy. Where have we gone with that? Right? It doesn't exist. That's where we spend most of our lives, isn't it? What influence have we got over our workplace? When you think about it, a tiny proportion of the workforce have all of the influence. Yes, you might have a few shares. You might be able to go along to the AGM of a corporation, and you might be able to vote. But you'll have maybe 100 votes, you might have 1,000 votes. Maybe, well, off you maybe 10,000 votes. But, you know, these wealthy elites and corporations and so on, they all kind of sort of feed from the same trough, as it were. They'll deploy, you know, 10 million votes or whatever it is, you know. So inevitably, it's the very wealthy shareholders and then the key executives that you know, that run these big corporations that hold all the power. So hardly surprising then that they make decisions which actually represent their interests and you know, give them the most advantage from the way in which they run those companies and the way in which we run our economy. So we've got no control over the corporations to speak of, and we therefore need, it seems to me, to extend democracy into the workplace and give workers much more influence. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things that we included in our last manifesto, which was, I think, the most radical thing, it didn't get a huge amount of attention, but that was the right to own, where we said that workers, where a company is being threatened with being asset stripped by a hedge fund or being offshore to a low-wage economy, which is where most of our jobs, well-paid jobs have gone, or just being slogged off, well, workers will be given the first right of refusal to buy that company out. And then they say, well, where are you going to get, where will they find the money from for that? Well, we're going to set up a national investment bank, aren't we? And we'll lend them the money, and we'll provide them with the expertise in order to do the necessary legals and financials associated with setting up a worker cooperative. And that, by doing that, we will be able to, over time, bring about an irreversible shift in the balance of wealth and power in our country. We did a lot, that 45 Labour government, to move the balance, and as I say, we addressed inequality to a huge extent. I mean, towards the end of that period, before Thatcher came in, inequality was at its narrowest. But actually, all of those, or most of those gains that we made have been swept away, haven't they, really? Now we've got inequality basically at levels that haven't existed since the pharaohs, for goodness sake. So we've got a massive challenge on our hands, but democracy, you know, can help us to address that. And as I say, that's why there is such resistance to it. And it's why we have to stand together, because we've got power when we stand together. And those that attack us want to demoralise, want to divide us, want us to walk away, want us to resign from the party. And I know some people have been demoralised and disillusioned, understandably, with some of the attacks that we've been subjected to. Some people have contacted me to say they've resigned in protest over my treatment. I'm saying, no, don't do that. Stay in. We need you in the party. We've got to stay strong. This is the time, this is the challenge, this is the test, where we have to stay strong for Rebecca, for Jackie, for all others that have been treated so unfairly. Because we're going to create a better society. We're going to create a socialist society through democracy. And the other big challenge facing us, of course, is the fourth industrial revolution, the technological revolution which is taking place right now. I read a report towards the back end of last year that said that 50% of the jobs which are currently being done today, within 20 years, will be done by artificial intelligence and robots. Now that can either be a good thing, or it can be a disastrous thing. Oh my goodness me, more people being thrown on the goal. Well no, shouldn't be that way, should it? What we can say is this is wonderful, because that gives us an opportunity to massively reduce the working week. That gives us an opportunity to ensure that the wealth of the nation is shared by everybody in the nation. We have a major opportunity therefore, don't we? And I'm old enough to remember, and some people maybe of a similar generation to myself in the audience, but remember that 60 is the new 30, so I'm only 31, so you can work out that. But in the 1960s, we were being told to get ready for the leisure generation, weren't we?